it's always difficult to have a speech after Tracy because she's always great. So I took this hard job to myself. And I would like to introduce you the European Network for Academic Integrity. You can see this roll-up, you can see the banner there, you could see the logo amongst the organizing institutions. First of all, let me show you briefly 2 slides about why we are founding some network and what should be for. This data comes from mainly from our research done between 2010 and 2013, the project Impact of Policies for Plagiarism across Europe, and some countries are added this year as a result of our research in Southeast Europe. We asked students. Imagine that 40% of student submission is copied from some other sources. Some words are changed, but there is no quotation, no references, no in-text citations. Is it plagiarism? And students could judge if it is serious plagiarism, if it's plagiarism, if they are not sure of if it's not plagiarism at all. And you can see differences amongst different European countries. Well, I have to admit that we don't have enough responses from some countries, so especially these extreme cases, don't take them too seriously. But you can see that in some countries, most of the students think that if 40% is copied from other sources, then it is serious plagiarism or plagiarism. But then you have some countries here, well, students say, well, 40% is less than half, some words are changed, so student did some creative work, so it might not be plagiarism, we are not sure about that, or even it's not plagiarism at all. What else we did? We calculated academic integrity maturity model for particular countries. It was mostly a job done by Irene Glendinning, so she evaluated transparency of processes in these countries, policies in place, if there is a fair system of sanctions, if the software tools are used to discover plagiarism, if there is done enough for prevention, if the issues are communicated, if staff and students know about that issues, if they receive training, and if there is research about academic integrity. And we found huge differences between these European countries. And not only among European countries, we found also differences among institutions. In one country there might be institutions which are more mature, more developed in terms of academic integrity. In some countries, and in the same country, there are institutions which are less developed, where the management deny the problem at all. But what we have in Europe, we have this Bologna process, which is supporting students for mobility. We are inviting students to have bachelor degree at one university, one country, then go for master's degree to another country. We are supporting our students, or even pushing them, persuading at least at our faculty to spend 1 semester or 1 year abroad. And then these students might be confused because their study effort is kind of unified by European credit transfer system. So if they study, they know how many credits they get. Their study effort is then recognized at their home institution. But there is no such unification in terms of plagiarism procedures, academic integrity procedures. So what is considered cheating in one country or one institution can be viewed as a completely okay behavior in other institution, which then confuses student and is also a problem of trust of the diplomas, because if part of the students, part of the studies is done at other institution, then home institution has to trust that student studied honestly to recognize their credits. During our research, we found many institutions where is lack of training. Students would like to receive training, staff would like to receive training, our data shows that, but simply no training is in place there. We found many institutions where management have no idea about what's actually happening in the classroom. It was our research in Southeast Europe, but I'm sure it would be same in Czech Republic and also in other countries. I was interviewing vice deans or other people from the management. In the same time, my colleague Dita was interviewing students and staff. Or the management told me, well, we don't have cheating at all in our university, and if there is some, it's discovered by the staff, and teacher punish student appropriately. And students told Dita, well, everybody's cheating here, it's kind of part of our nature. Go to the bathroom, then you can see the phone number to a person who is ready to write a bachelor thesis for you. We use these earplugs, we use everything possible, everybody is copying, sharing. And so teachers and management are sometimes really naive, and our research shows that. In many countries, many institutions, we have lack of guidelines, lack of fair approach. Cases are often solved by teachers without making sure that there is the same outcome for the same breach, and without keeping a record, so the students can teach in one course and then can teach a second course and always say, well, I didn't know how to cite and reference properly, so please just leave it with a warning. We also found a strong will to cooperate and learn from each other, which also is reflected at our conference. When we first time organized the conference, it was the final conference of the IFI project in 2013. We get just a couple of dozens of people. It was like more smaller group of people. Then more people came in 2015. Then this European Council of Europe's ETINET platform was established, and we got funding for the Southeast Europe project for of policies for academic integrity, which was done last year and this year, and the results will be presented in that conference. And we are now organizing the conference this year. So there is we feel that many institutions are interested in sharing ideas, in learning from each other. In some continents, they have networks or centers or institutions which provides a platform for sharing best practices, for sharing ideas. In North America, there is an International Center for Academic Integrity. We have former director Teddy Fishman here. She will deliver her keynote speech on Friday. We have Asia Pacific Forum for Educational Integrity. Tracy is involved in that forum. But even though the International Center calls themselves as international, it's mostly North American center. Mostly universities from US and Canada are members. We have only 4. As far as I know, there are only 4 European institutions members of this international center. There is no such organization in Europe, and which is kind of understandable. European institutions resist to join the American network, keeping telling that we have our own issues, we have our own, it's kind of different culture, so we can solve our problems by ourselves. So that was the ideas which led us to found the European Network for Academic Integrity. The idea was announced 2 years ago in 2015 conference in Brno, and since that time we have developed many things. We have like stepped forward to have this network in Europe. The purpose of European Network for Academic Integrity is to support higher education institutions to work together in the field of academic integrity. So that's our main mission: provide support in many ways to higher education institutions, but not only to them, to work together, to cooperate in promoting, developing materials, doing research in academic integrity. We already have the formal constitution approved, and there are some objectives of that network. So it's provide a platform to develop and share resources, mainly educational resources for teachers, for students, for management. Offer opportunities for researchers. There are many people who will be sharing, or who are actually sharing, their research results about academic integrity, about contract cheating, about plagiarism. It is much better if the research is international. We can compare one country to each other, we can learn from each other, we can repeat one's research in other country. We want to provide a platform to share best practices. There will be many workshops at that conference today, tomorrow, on Friday. So it's an opportunity for people to show how things are done in one institution, and other institutions can learn from that. We have an idea that European Network for Academic Integrity should serve as a central point of reference where people or institutions can ask for help, can ask for advice, can ask for a speaker, for expert coming to their institution and advise how to develop policies, how to do whatever the institution needs. Organizing conferences, workshops and other events is the most important part for sharing these practices. Network and collaborate, individuals collaborate towards research, and an idea which I have to admit we didn't anything for that till now, is to appreciate individual and institutional efforts by offering awards, so we can like celebrate people and institutions that they did good job in terms of academic integrity. The particular activities which are planned by European Network are to develop educational materials. As I already mentioned, we already have funding for that. I will talk about it in a couple of minutes. Development of guidelines. It's a really difficult and challenging job, but as we think that ECTS is unifying the student study efforts, we feel that also the procedures concerning academic integrity should be as much unified as possible to make student mobilities easier. So that's what we are trying to develop guidelines and develop self-evaluation tools and rating system for institutions. We already have web pages, and we hope that there will be some resources available from that web page. We started to circulate regular newsletter every 2 months. The next one is planned at the beginning of June, so if you are interested, I will show you later the address of the web page and the email address you can register. We plan to organize annual conferences, so not only every 2 years, how it was has been till now, but annual conferences, training events and workshops, and what I mentioned, offering awards. What is good is that we already have the initial funding. We have the Erasmus Plus Strategic Partnership Project, which is now running. It started in September last year and is supposed to be till August 2019. We have 12 partner institutions from 11 countries and the budget of 380,000 euros. And there are 3 intellectual outputs expected: educational materials, toolkit for cross-sector cooperation, and handbook for improvements. So the educational materials we would like to develop have 2 target groups: higher education teachers and higher education students. what we want to share are course for teachers about the integrity issues, the issues that teachers can incorporate in their classes. There should be example modules for students about academic integrity, and also set of activities for students accompanied by didactical notes, so ready for use for teacher if they want to have some part of their course. It can be whatever professional course, or it is course specially designed about academic integrity, like academic writing and stuff like that. Then we want to have the annotated collections of videos about academic integrity, discuss some rumors or myths about academic integrity and plagiarism, because in some countries the students are telling strange things, like if it is up to 3 words you don't have to cite, and if the person agrees you don't have to reference. So there are many myths about plagiarism, and we want to point them out among our resources, and also typology of intertextual mistakes and how to avoid them. We know that already many of the materials have been developed and are in place somehow, somewhere. Many institutions have their materials. There are many materials available from Australian projects, from North American projects, and even from European projects. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel and prepare all these materials by ourselves. We don't have even funding for that. But what we want to do is like provide a list of materials, so with links, so people, teachers, students have one central point, and then they are linked to the materials they would like to use. There will be kind of also evaluations, so you could see that these 4 stars or 5 stars materials might be better for you, as it works in the social media and sharing videos and stuff. So this is first output of the project, educational materials for teachers and students. The second output was added because we wanted to increase the probability that we got funding, and the Erasmus Plus, at least our Czech national agency, likes cross-sector cooperation. So we added cross-sector cooperation in terms of academic integrity, but I told it in a way that it would not be important, but it is important. Our students are coming from secondary schools and from higher education institutions. They are leaving to commercial sector. So the integrity issues are not limited to academia only. We have to cooperate with high schools, we have to cooperate with business to make sure that the issues we solve at the universities are relevant for the future jobs of our graduates, and also that the secondary schools prepare our students properly to study at the university, so it doesn't happen that it's first time they meet the word plagiarism at the university. They should have learned it much sooner. So the target group are not only higher education teachers, but also secondary school students and secondary school teachers. And the motto for the cross-sector cooperation with business is responsible student, responsible employee, because there is many research showing that students who tend to cheat at universities will also tend to cheat in their jobs, and we believe that companies don't want their employees cheating their companies. So we are going to develop manual how to get relevant real-life examples and include them into courses at universities, set of those relevant real-life examples, and workshops for secondary school students and secondary school teachers. So that's the set of output, the sub-outputs for this output. And the last one is the most demanding part, handbook for improvements in academic integrity, which means developing of guidelines. So we want to develop general guidelines for academic integrity, for teachers how to design their courses, for management how to set up appropriate environment at the institutions to make sure that cheating is less likely. There will be self-evaluation tools, tool for students, for teachers, for researchers, about what they know, what they do, what they tend to do. It will be feedback for those who will be taking this kind of online test, and it will be also mean for us to get some data for further research. We know that especially management don't like reading thick reports and long text, so we want to provide an academic integrity self-improvement in a nutshell, like two pages document which can be read in 5 minutes and provide some ideas what can be done quickly to improve academic integrity at a particular course or institution. And what we are now developing is glossary of terms related to academic integrity. If we want to develop guidelines, if we want to develop these self-assessment tools, we have to make sure that the terms we are using are clearly defined, so we are trying to agree on the definitions of terms related to academic integrity. All these resources are going to be at this webpage, academicintegrity.eu. If you have any questions or are interested in the newsletter, you can send an email to info@academicintegrity.eu. So we have this whole domain and email addresses there. Annual conferences. As I said, this year is the last time we are organizing our conferences in Brno. It's not because it would be boring city or stuff. We know we are convinced that it's the best city in the world. That's why we live here. We would have much more places to visit within the social programs. We could easily organize the conference 10 more years. But we just don't want to keep this right here in Brno. You know, it's good opportunity for the country to have the conference there. Yesterday we organized a press conference that we have in this conference. We are launching this European Network for Academic Integrity. We also presented our research about contract cheating in Czechia, and the journalists are really interested. It's a nice topic for them. So even though we have these governmental scandals here that the Minister of Finance is cheating his taxes and there is corruption at Ministry of Education and the Prime Minister has constant arguments with the President, there have been terrorist attacks in Manchester, but we managed to get on TV yesterday. And to radio and to newspapers. So now everybody knows that students are cheating and that universities are working on that to solve the problem. And I think that it is important. So next year, this opportunity, Turkey will have this opportunity next year. Lithuania is going to have this opportunity 2 years later. And then we want to, these places are already decided because of that European Strategic Partnership, Erasmus Plus Strategic Partnership project we have. And then I would like to vote at every conference where next conference will be. Well, not next, but the conference 2 years after. So in Turkey we are going to decide about the place and organizer of the conference in 2020, and in Lithuania we are going to vote about the organizer and place of the conference in 2021. So if there is any institution interested in organizing the conference, so make sure you prepare the attractive proposal for the conference in Turkey, and you might be selected. The members of the European Network for Academic Integrity will vote about that. Training events, it's other part of the project we have, but we want to make it sustainable, not only limited till 2019, but we want to have it open. We want to continue even the project is finished. So this will be open to European Network members and supporters, except the public part, which will be available to everybody. we plan to do it 1 week in September. There will be workshops, we want to develop materials, we want to work in groups, and again the place and organizer are to be announced 1.5 years in advance. So this year in September is happening in Maribor in Slovenia. Next year is happening in Riga in Latvia. So now some boring stuff about how the organization will be established. It's going to be a legal entity, an association registered in the Czech Republic. Well, if I knew what bureaucracy would be connected with establishing this legal body according to the Czech law, I would maybe choose another option. But yeah, we did what we did, so now we are almost there. There will be board, 5 members with 3 years tenure. The members of the board are natural persons. They don't have to be necessarily from the member institutions. One of them will be president of the board. So I happened to be president 2 days ago, and there will be some administrative stuff to provide all the paperwork. We need to have the auditing group, 3 members, and then for special, for the particular task, for particular outputs, there will be working groups. So the board will establish these working groups and appoint the head of that working groups, which then will be responsible for providing these outputs. Yeah, or maybe just to mention who is now elected to the board. So I am the president of the board. We have Irene Glendinning from Coventry University. We have Loreta Tauginiene from Mikolas Romeris University in Lithuania. We have Salim Razi from Çanakkale University in Turkey, and we have Julius Kraviar from Slovak Center for Information. In Slovakia. The auditing group, we have Milan Oysteršek from University of Maribor in Slovenia. We have Siva Subramaniam from Nottingham Trent University in UK, and we have Dita Tlabolova from our university as a last member of auditing group. The members can be only legal entities, so we expect only institutions to be members of our network. Each member institution has to appoint a representative who will then represent that institution in a network. Of course, we expect there will be people from non-member institutions who are interested in the topic and who would like to join our activities. So these individuals can become supporters. So if you think that your institution is interested in joining the network, you can fill the application form which is provided at the webpage, and then the board has to approve new members, which is kind of prevention against some speculative memberships which may occur. And then institutions have to pay the membership fee. And for that membership fee, they can have some benefits. So at first they are part of the network, so the collaboration opportunities are provided. We expect that in a couple of years the network will develop to kind of prestigious network, and the institutions will use the membership in the European network as their marketing tool. Look, we are taking academic integrity seriously. Our diplomas, you can trust our diplomas. We are doing anything what we can to stop cheating at our institutions. Members can also influence the network by voting members of the board. They can get discounts on fees for European Network of Academic Integrity events. So next year for the conference in Turkey, those coming from member institutions will have discounts on the conference fee. Then we think that as we develop the rating system, it will be available for member institutions only. So some member institutions can use, look, we are 5-star university in terms of academic integrity, so we are not only high quality educational institution, institutions, but we make sure that academic integrity is important in all our processes. And also, as I mentioned, access to consultants, experts, mentors and speakers, where the network can provide also some funding, subsidize, let's say, travel costs if there is an expert coming and giving advice to some institutions. Access to resources and online training. A lot of the materials will be publicly available for everybody because we are getting public funding, so we are obliged to make our outputs publicly available, but we may decide that some materials not developed within public funding will be available just for members. Well, the less pleasant part, fees, yeah. It will cost something, so for now we have to employ an administrative person who will do all this registration stuff, establish bank account and whatever to have the proper institution working. So we for this year and next year the budget is, as you can see, the annual fee for institution is expected to be €300 annual fee for supporter. The natural person who wants to support us is €50, and for the first year everybody can get 50% discount, so it's kind of trial period. And the most of these fees will go to administration of the network, to administration of the web page, the administration of the resources, to make the resources available, circulate newsletter, putting together newsletter, and so on. So we think that this year all the budget, all the expenditure will go to staff cost. Next year we are hopefully able to subsidize some activities, conference, training events or expert visits. So what we already have, wow, I would say that it's 9 right now. So even though we have 12 partners in the project, not everybody managed to get all the paperwork required by Czech authorities. So we have 9 official members. We have funding for initial activities. We have this Erasmus Plus Strategic Partnership project. We have traditional conference, third conference we are right now. We have web page, we have newsletter, we have visual style, we have this roll-up, we have that banner. We already have links to International Center for Academic Integrity, and they want to cooperate with us. We want to cooperate with them. We have links to Asia Pacific Forum for Educational Integrity. We have strong links to Council of Europe's Etinet platform. We have group of enthusiastic people who are ready to cooperate, who are ready to develop materials, even though the budget of our project was cut significantly, but we think that it is important not only for our institutions but for institutions around Europe. And we have supportive social climate. As Villano said, the ministers of education decided some years ago that it is necessary to do something in the field of academic integrity. It's necessary to cooperate. We feel that also particular institutions are more interested in cooperation every year. So what we have to achieve soon: establish a legal body, gain more members, achieve our project outcomes, and work together with Council of Europe on recommendations for member states, which is one of the outcomes of the Etinet platform, and start doing activities we didn't have time to start yet, like rating system, awards, support of whistleblowers, and training events for staff. Some of them are we already discussed, some of them, so let's say the support of whistleblowers. We are for the next year's conference in Turkey, there will be an opportunity for people who don't have funding for the conference attendance, mostly because they found some data which people from ministries or the universities are not happy to share. So we can support them to come. We didn't have this such an opportunity this year, but we got some questions from people who were interested, but unfortunately it was not announced before, so it wouldn't be fair to provide this opportunity just to some of them. So, thank you very much for your attention. Of course, any comments and suggestions are welcome during the coffee break and during the workshop we are having this afternoon on European Network for Academic Integrity activities. So, you are invited to room number 7 at 3 p.m. Today. There will be my colleagues from the project presenting what has been done so far in project activities, and you can share your ideas with us. And you can look at the webpage or access us via these email addresses. So thank you very much for your attention.